All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the August Akri community meeting. This is a CMCF meeting, so we abide by the code of conduct. And if you don't consent to being recorded, then you can hop off the video or the meeting. So let me share my screen. All right. Yeah, please do fill out name and company. I will put this on show. Okay. So we have a couple things on our agenda. I know that we didn't meet in July. So I think there's a lot of things that we could cover. And yeah, I think it would be really nice to get a release out soon. Maybe we can aim to do it this month. I think that would be nice. So I guess the first thing on the agenda is version numbering and PRs process. Um, did someone put this on the agenda?
I added this item to the agenda.
Mhm.
This is about something we saw with Johnson during some PRs, where we have this version number check that may succeed within the PR, but because we merge other PR that were doing the exact same change to the version number, it doesn't yell or anything when we try to merge that new PR. And so we end up with a situation where it's easy to just merge a PR that won't change anything to the version number, where we wanted to have an impact on the version number. So it's more about how, currently this process is every pull request have to increase the version number accordingly to if it's a bug fix or a feature or anything. And so the goal of this item is more to start the discussion around, can we find a better way around this that will be less prone to errors from us maintainers when we merge pull requests, so that we don't end up merging thing without increasing the version number. In fact, I have kind of an idea, that is that instead of having every pull request increase the version number, is to have kind of a script that do this when we merge the pull request. So, but that means that we need to have some kind of formalism in the way we format the pull request, so that the script knows when it gets merged whether it's need to increase the patch version or minor version or major version. So I guess that could be done with something like conventional commits. So that is all about prefixing commit messages with some kind of tag to uh, precise the goal of the purpose of the commit. So whether it's a feature, a bug fix, a documentation change, a build change, or some breaking change or anything, so that uh, on a developer point of view, it allows that when you look at the Git history, you easily see what is what. And from a script point of view, it's easily possible to see if there's is a need to increase the patch minor or major version when doing a release. So I think that's something that need to be more discussed than just making a proposal for that. So that's why I wanted to uh, have this item here before.
Yeah, glad you brought that up. Johnson, do you maybe have any additional thoughts on the versioning?
No, I think Nicholas described the problem precisely. So right now, it's quite error prone when everyone need to kind of manually manage the version number. So some kind of automation is required. If we increase the version number, let's say page version number, on every commit, then the only problem will be the change might be the change scope might be big enough to become a minor version page, right? But yeah. And do we really want to have a different version for every commit? That's another question. Or do we do like a daily bill and just snap the version number every day if there's any change? That's another option. But which means we don't really tell the page minor or major. We just blindly, maybe when the month release, then we can decide if this current release has some feature that require to bump up the minor or even major version number and do it manually when we release. And everything else will be just do the page version update. Some thought, but not concrete.
Yes, another idea I had was to use this conventional commit thing so that we end up having a script that is able to know whether it should increase the what part of the version number should be increased. And I'm also kind of well about the every a version for every commit. Well, that's complicated because you want every build to be every published build to be with a different version number, even for development grade builds, I'd say. So the one that are for the Akri -dev Helm chart. But I think we could, well, I'm not fond of the way we are doing it right now, with where you count from the version number, determine if it's a pre-release, well, not a development release or a tagged release. And so maybe we could use something like if it's a development release, we just bump the version number virtually and add a -rc something like number of commits from last tag. and this way we know it's a kind of a development release, and when we do a release we have a full release number. There are multiple possibilities here, so I'm not fixed on one particularly, but I think we have something that couldn't. Well, we have a need for something more clear on that.
What is is there a historical reason that we have all of the dev versions numbered? I mean, I would assume it's probably so that we could like pin to a version for like certain testing, but you could do that with a hash as well.
I guess it's for the Helm chart.
Just default to latest. It's a little sloppy, but it also shortcuts a lot of additional complexity. So I don't know if that's better or worse. You could do timestamp. So you just timestamp that build time, kind of take a timestamp of when the PR merges, and then have all the build assets just be tagged with that timestamp, and then you throw them away after it's merged in the main.
Anyway, I think the one thing we agree on is that we should not increase the version number in peers anymore. So I think that's the real thing we all agree that is the issue. So now is the thing is how we continue to have the CI built development versions to work and have the released version have I'd say relevant version numbers. But yeah, for release it could be done manually, yes, and for the dev version I don't know if we want that. Well, if we want completely different versioning scheme for development version and main version, but I don't think that's something we want, because it would be quite difficult to kind of know if it's if a given development version is where which is against the main. So that's the difficulty if you use timestamps or latest. If someone reports a bug against a specific version, you don't know where you are.
So like, at least what I'm thinking is that anything merged into main would get a version. And then you could just like increment, obviously you still run into, yeah. I mean, one of the ways to do it is I've been using OBS too much recently, but you could do the latest tagged release plus a commit offset. It's ugly, but it works.
So
Helm mandates the charts to be semver, the charts version to be semver. so won't work.
Forgot about that.
No, I think we all agree not manually change the version number when merge PR. So the version number still can change. It's just like it might be changed automatically, not like manually. So, well, if we want to tell, like for develop version, if we want to tell like which version, which snap we are using, in Go, they used to have some kind of Go programming language. There's some kind of mechanism to embed it, the kind of commit number into the binary. So I'm not sure if that's available in Rust language or not. So in Go language, we can, when we build the binary, we can just grab the commit number, which commit number this binary is built against, then put the commit number in the binary. So every time you see, you can just run your app name -v, for example, then you will show up some description about, oh, this is even the version number, or based on which commit number, those kind of detailed information. I'm not sure if we can do something similar using the Rust.
You can. Hold on. Let me make sure.
And if we can, does it help to solve our problem?
The issue is more about, and Nicola, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the issue is more about the Helm chart versioning rather than the binaries or even the image type versioning. Because it's more restrictive
Images
on.
versioning and handshot versioning, but if we do the dev chart using latest, we don't really have to manage its version number unless we make change to the chart itself. And there we got the same issue, but
for PR, we can automatic increase the page number unconditionally, right? Then Helm chart which can be solved. And then when release, we can decide whether to bump up the major or minor and reset, if necessary, reset the page number, version number.
this way we have a simple mechanism that doesn't require any other, let's say, thing. So it makes it easier than, say, conventional commits where you have to follow some kind of guidelines about how you format your commit messages or PR titles or whatever.
Yeah, and the problem is when we release, we need to know what changed and then decide bump up what version number, or not bumping up, just keep the page.
Yeah.
Should we make like an issue to track this? Okay.
Yeah, we
Any
can.
this any more thoughts?
Is there already an issue or?
No, there's no issue yet, or no proposal or anything. I think we'll make an issue, and with all we said here, and that will be able to start the discussion async for everyone who's not there.
Sounds good. All about that's the action items. And also, if there's anything that I missed in the notes, feel free to add to it. I'm just like trying to take notes and do this at the same time, so I might miss a couple things. But cool. Yeah, is
With
there
that, I'll,
anything else?
I was just gonna say, I'll take an action item to go see if there's any similar enough projects to see how they do it.
Mhm.
It's gotta be prior art for this. I just don't know it.
All right. Should we talk about next release? I'll share my screen. But okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yes.
Yes.
So we have a couple more PRs that are pending. There's this one, which it looks like Kate took a look at this one. Johnson, when you have the chance, can you also take a look at this PR? And then Nicholas, are you just waiting to make a couple more changes to it, or?
Well, no, I don't think there's any changes left. I'll recheck, but I think it's all correct right now.
Okay. So, yeah, it would be good to get some eyes on this, Johnson, if you have time, and then can get this merged.
Yeah, I can take a look about at this maybe today or tomorrow.
Okay. So let's get that in, and then we have this one. Johnson, do you have updates on this one?
So right now, Brian has kind of reviewed the change, and yeah, this is the only topic left on dealing with. Let's say we have discovered 2 devices, and capacity is set to 3, for example. So they will virtually have 6 slots for a container configuration level resource. So what need to do when a container request 4 slots? So from the cluster or from the cluster resource perspective, you report you have 6 resources, right? 6 of that type of resource, and then the Kubernetes try to allocate 4 of from that type of device resource. So it expects it will be succeeded, but internally we say we want to make sure all container only get the unique devices. So if we discover 2 devices, then the maximum allow devices to assign to allocated by a container would be 2. So but now it's asking for 4. So we will reject this, and then they will end up the Kubernetes will kind of keep retrying, and you will see tons of like unexpected admission error or something, the error message there. And I think it would last for a while. So it means I see like hundreds of the same error message because the Kubernetes would try all the combination. Yeah. Right now, the current implementation do some conservative way that will only expose minimum possible slots. They say if there are two devices discovered, originally the CL plugin will report 2 slots. And then if any of them being used, then you will just add 1 available slot. So basically you will calculate, you will report all 3 devices plus being used. So it won't kind of aggressively report 6 slots at the beginning. It will just report 2, and then if one is being assigned, then you report 3. Yeah, so it's kind of mitigate this situation. But let's say in some other scenario that all slots had been utilized by a CL resource and then freed, it's possible still hit the problem until that we have the reconciler to kind of reduce the allocatable slot back, and that's 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later. So it's still possible for this kind of situation to occur. And the question here is, do we want to do this like what the Brian mentioned is like a prefer unique instance, and do we want to kind of treat each slot unique, or we want to treat the uniqueness at the device level? So that's what I think that the major kind of concern is this behavior. So which way should we go? Before this, the first run of this CL, there was an idea to introduce a switch in configuration. So because it's like both behavior might have its value. So a switch to that operator decide to treat it at the device level or at the slot level, the uniqueness at different level. That's another possibility. So that's the currently all the PR, the rest of the change is kind of been it's okay. The only problem is this behavior. What behavior should we take? Yeah.
Well, my main concern about the per instance behavior is that if you want 2 devices and all have 2 slots, you usually want 2 different devices when you ask for 2 and not 2 slots of the same device. So that's why I think it's very valuable to have this. But I don't know, is there a way, maybe with things like oh man, I don't remember the name of the thing, to make sure that the resources are not freed by Kubernetes before we pass and say, okay, we reduce the number?
I think the way it works is the device plugin will say how many devices or how many virtual devices I I can surprise. So then you will get a list of ID. So in this case, there'll be like a 0 to 5, for example. And then the Kubernetes will know you have 6 available resources, and then it assume these 6 are unique. So it can use it on any without any restriction, as long as it's not exceeds the 6. So if someone try to allocate 7, then the pod will be under pending state until the allocatable becomes 7. Yeah, but for those 6, the Kubernetes doesn't have Kubernetes treated as all uniques. But when we map to the actual device, they are not equivalent. They are not unique between the resources. That's the problem.
I was thinking about when you have your current behavior where you create slots, virtual slots, so that you always have number of device plus number used. And then you can have maybe a finalizer added when you add the slots, add a finalizer to the pods that are using the resources, so that we can ensure that before the resource get deleted and that the kubelite considered them free, we may have a window where we could say, okay, we reduce the number.
I'm not sure I get it. So the Kubernetes will allocate a resource, and then it will do its own bookkeeping to remember what resource it's been used. And
yes, but when it get freed because say the pod got deleted.
Yep.
If you have a finalizer on the pod, it won't get really deleted API wise until all finalizer are gone. So if we get a pod into a deleting state with a finalizer for it, we can act and reduce the number of slots by 1, so that the one you used no longer exists, and then remove the finalizer so it gets deleted. This way we don't end up with a moment where we have the resource being free. If you see what I mean.
But
My issue with that is if you just do like a kubectl delete pod, you would trigger that finalizer as well, even if you don't want to. So you need to make sure that, I don't know, because you put on, I know that we're not using anything above that, but I wonder if like a replica set might be a better way to go. That way you could delete the pods and restart it while still holding states that next level up.
we do already have the reconciler to kind of roll back to the available resources number, and it's just like the timeout for that is 5. The grace period for that is 5 minutes. So the allocatable number, resource number, will going up and down, and it's just that the time going down might be slow. It takes a grace period for the number to going down.
Okay.
And before
we don't have a notification when a resource that uses an Akri device is deleted. That's what you
I think the reconciler will continue every 10 seconds. The reconciler will pull the parts running on the current node, and so the reconciler know which slot was freed but internally the reconciler have a 5 minutes grace period to mark it as free or delete the resource basically. Then after 5 minutes. So that will introduce some periods that causing like the container can cause error if it requests for more. Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
I'll try
also
to take a look at the PR and see what is that timeout, because I don't really know about it.
okay. And that right now the major concern is to decide the behavior here. So like the last paragraph on the screen, there are 2 implementation options. So I kind of want to get a consensus about which one should we go.
Yeah, on that one, and yeah, if the 2 implementation are the one where you have uniqueness on the device or uniqueness on the slots, is I'm still at it the same way and saying that we should do it at the device level. So maybe we can't avoid a window where something can happen. Maybe we can short that window so that it's not 5 minutes.
So right now the behavior of the CO plugin is, they say it will ensure unique devices are allocated for a container. So for a container, you will guarantee to get the unique devices. And they say if one part have 2 container or multiple containers, then there's no guarantee. They say that you will assign a same device between the container. So that's the current behavior. So within a container, we guarantee that you will get the unique devices. And then within the pod, then if there are multiple container, we don't do any restriction between containers. So I think this is the expected behavior. That's the behavior we want. And then now is when the container asks for more than available devices, then we fail it. And how do we, like the current implementation, try to kind of do it in a more graceful way by conservative expose or report the available resources. Oh, and that will actually introduce one problem. So that I kind of think about, do we really want to get the maybe we shouldn't do that some fancier approach and just leave it like doing just fail the allocation. So the problem right now is because we conservative report the slots, the virtual devices. They say in the same case, 3 camera capacity to 2. So originally I will report there are 3 slots, 3 virtual devices. So if a pod have 2 container, one container asks for 3, the other container asks for 1, then in our current behavior, it will never be scheduled because we only report 3. Yeah, but actually it's possible to we can allow this kind of allocation. So if we don't conservative report the virtual devices, we just say okay 6, and then we can kind of support this combination. But the drawback is if someone original ask for, then it will never, it will produce tons of errors and never succeeds.
Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah. I think I'll just try to look at the PR more in details, because it's not an easy
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah. So we
And
can
I don't think
discuss.
we want to spend all the time.
Yeah. Please take a look about us at the CR, then we can discuss from there.
All right, yeah, let's move on from this for now. Then we have this one, looks like this one's just a draft, so, Nicholas, were you planning to, get this into the next release, or should we wait on this one for now?
We can wait. I put it in draft because it's a follow-up to the end-to-end test revamp. So it's based on that one. So that's why I put it in draft for now, because it have to wait for the end-to-end PR. It's just a small PR that adds UDEV tests for the, well, it adds end-to-end test for the UDEV discovery handler. So it's something that could be pulled when we want to.
Yeah, thanks for working on this. This one, Johnson.
So we add the discovery properties in configuration. So this one is to use the discover property to pass the credential to OnBIF discovery handler, and then for doing the authenticate discovery. So I put a proposal about the schema for the discovery property used by OnBIF discovery handler. So then this PR basically based on that schema, then read the content and then read and parse the content to kind of extract the credential, and then use those credential when discover an OnBIF device, you will get the device UID and use that UID as a key to look up the credential and use that credential to do the authenticate discovery. Yeah.
Yes, I started looking at the proposal for this one. Not yet at the implementation. So I think I'll have some time in the week to finish looking at the proposal, and I have some things about it, like maybe we should add some not fallback, but some kind of possibility for an entry to say, okay, I will match for all devices, maybe. So for the case where you have, say, a single set of credentials for all your cameras, I know that's not expected, but that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I thought
Especially
about
when we do
have
test.
a kind of default username, default password things, but well, I'm kind of hesitant to do that because the credential usually means something sensitive, and we are kind of expose all the exposed credential to any arbitrary devices. So that's kind of I end up kind of remove the default parts. Yeah, but if we think that's doable, well, technically that's completely doable. If we think it's appropriate, then I can edit back. But let's please add it to the proposal PR, then we can discuss.
Yeah, I think that could be appropriate for, say, the first plug of a camera, where it still have the factory defaults, and that you want this to be then catched up by your system configured or whatever. Then it makes sense to have a default value. But I'll make that a comment in the in the proposal.
Alright. And then this is the last one.
So this one is since in OnVIF Discovery Handler, we no longer use IP MAC address as the to create the device ID. We use the device UID and service URL to join these two to create the device ID. So the IP address, IP and MAC address is not mandatory now. So this PR basically say if IP or MAC filters is not used, then the DH doesn't really need to the IP address MAC address is not mandatory for the DH to discover a device. So it will getting the IP MAC address fail to get the IP and MAC address will not stop the discovery. So but the PR will still do the best effort to retrieve the IP and MAC address. If it can get it, then it will set it into the environment variables. If it cannot, then those two variables will become kind of optional, will not expose.
All right, sounds good. So I think, yeah, we can hopefully review and get these in the upcoming weeks. And then I can start to put together some bug bashing scenarios, and then we can do like an asynchronous bug bash if everyone is still okay with that. And then I think maybe like Leo or Johnson will be helping to drive the release process, cutting the release and everything. And yeah, one thing is when we do the bug bash, it would also be good to note any docs gaps or like anything that we're missing in the docs from the new releases, so that we can actually cut a release with the docs this time, because I don't think we did that last time. So let's make sure to do that. And then we're actually kind of running out of time. So there were a couple other things on the agenda. One is that Johnson helped to work on sort of an updated threat model, because the old one that we did a couple years ago, that was, as we discussed previously, you know, the discovery handler is just still embedded. But we did another scenario where it's not embedded. So we can go over that in the next community meeting. And I hope to be able to discuss it and then update our docs, the public docs on that as well. Or any, I think it's like a proposal on the GitHub. And then I think Nicholas also made a couple PRs on new proposals, and I think it would be really cool to also go over these and discuss them. But feel free, Johnson or anyone, if you have time, like you can look at these offline and comment on them as well. I guess we have like 6 minutes. Should we quickly do like an issue triage? Let's see. These are triage needed. All right, this one, spring cleaning. Oh yeah, I think this is just, there's some like random forks in the org and I think I can probably also take a look at this. So we can just move this to investigating. And then this one, Justin, do you want to quickly go over this issue?
So this is during the discovery property development, there's a discussion about should we do any restriction on the key name. So right now we don't do any restriction, even an empty key name. So then Brian think empty key name shouldn't be allowed. But they will come up with question about what do we expect on the key name format. So it's like as long as is something, not the zero length string, or should we reject like a key with all spaces characters? Yeah, those kind of things. So right now I'm still thinking about what's the better the expected format we should use. Nicholas, you mentioned about using like an environment variable format. There might be something, but this key I think is not equivalent to the environment variable name we were exposed to the outside. So yeah, it might be a candidate, a format candidate, but I'm kind of thinking about, well, at the end, we shouldn't kind of promote, like have some secret information exposed as environment variables. So I try not to do that. Yeah.
It was more of this is a common format for keys that is sure to be well handled by, well, let's say every language that we could imagine a discovery handler to be written in. So I think that if we say allow any UTF-8 string, we might end up with issues with discovery handlers that don't understand keys that have, say, emojis in them. And so by using something more kind of restrictive, we can have something that we are sure will work in every case. That's why I ended up with the idea of using the same kind of format that the one used for environment variable names.
Yeah, so but okay, for the certificate right now, the discovery handler actually have a schema, so it will just looking for expected specific term in a key name in this discovery properties. And also the discovery property can be used for other purpose, right? It's not only used by the credential. So it can, in the future, let's say if there's any additional property they need to inject into the discovery handler, we can leverage this field. So as long as it's a key key value pair, it's okay. So that's why I kind of, well, we can say as long as it's an UTF-8 and it's not a zero length string, we can allow it, or as long as it's not the kind of blank empty string, including all space, then we should allow it. Or we really want to do a kind of very strict restriction on this kind of general purpose usage property.
I think we could start with something restrictive, and if the need arises to have more possibilities, we can add them. It would be easier this way than to remove them once they are used, I
Mhm.
think.
Okay. Yeah, then I can kind of come out some pattern to kind of restrict the key name format.
I'm gonna move this to investigate. And I think we're out of time and I will have to wrap. So we can finish triaging the issues next time. Thanks everyone for coming. Let's, stay in touch through the Slack channel and try to get this next release rolling if we can. Awesome. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.